What's going on, guys? This is week 4 of the 6-week video reintroduction series that I'm doing. So I'm coming on every week for 6 weeks and talking to you guys briefly about a different topic that I work with clients on. So week 1 was grief and healing. Week 2 was self-esteem and self-worth. Week 3, which was last week, was dating. This week is self-sabotage. Next week is abuse and toxic relationships. And we'll close it out with purpose, motivation, and goal setting in week 6. Couple things before we start. I work with clients on a lot more than just these 6 things, but these are the 6 that I really wanted to focus on. This is by far the hardest video I've done so far out of the 4. I've tried to start it like 30 times. Self-sabotage to me is my absolute favorite thing to work with clients on. We live in a difficult enough world without getting in our own damn way constantly, without sabotaging our own damn lives, right? Life is hard enough without being our own obstacle. So how do I take my favorite thing to work with clients on and make it into a 10 or 15 minute video? Part of the struggle that I've had with this damn video, because I'm super annoyed, is I don't feel like I'm giving it the passion it deserves. I don't feel like the passion I have for this topic is coming across. It's not the same as when I do it with a client, right? I think that's because with the client I'm zoning in. I'm working on their individual self-sabotage. I'm helping them see what they're doing, if they're self-sabotaging, and we're getting to the root cause of why they're doing it, and then we're trying to fix it, right? We're trying to work through it so that they can stop that behavior. And on this video, in the previous 29 times that I've tried to film it, I'm just kind of giving an overview, and it doesn't really feel the same. But it's week 4, and I need to put the video out. So we're going to do an overview, and we're going to see how it goes. Much like week 2, when I said, this is it, I'm not going to film it again. I'm not going to film this one again either. So whatever you get here is whatever you get here. There are 4 main reasons why I think people self-sabotage. There are other not so critical reasons as well, which I'll get to towards the end of this video. But there are 4 main critical reasons why people self-sabotage. So what are those 4 reasons? Low self-esteem, low self-worth, fear, and guilt. Now, I listed those in no particular order. Although, if I'm being honest, to me, the most dangerous one is self-worth. Because more than any of the other 3 that I mentioned, low self-worth truly has the ability to destroy a life. I have seen it over and over and over again, well before I ever got into this line of work. And now in this line of work, I see it all the time. So let's talk a little bit about each. Well, before I do that, let me say this. A lot of people, when I say self-sabotage, they automatically think I'm talking about someone's love life. And that's what I see the most, right? We have the ability to self-sabotage our love life very easily. And I see it all the time. But you can self-sabotage more than just that. You can self-sabotage friendships or family relationships. You can self-sabotage your job or your career. You can self-sabotage your finances or your health. I'm gonna get real tired of saying self-sabotage by the time this video is over. I'm almost tired of it right now. So you can do that. It's called S-square. You can S-square. That doesn't sound right. You can self-sabotage a whole lot of stuff, okay? Let's talk about self-esteem. Let me give you a couple of examples. Let's say you're one of these people who has a low self-esteem, right? Something you've struggled with your whole life. And you kind of think that nobody even really likes you. You think people just tolerate you, right? Even your friends, you don't even think they really like you. You're likely to, in some way, shape, or form, self-sabotage those friendships. Maybe not to the point of ruining the friendship, but certainly to the point of it not blossoming into a better friendship, a deeper connection because of how you feel about yourself. If we don't like ourselves, it's very hard to think that anybody else likes us, right? So maybe you have a friend who you want to see more, who you want to talk to more, who you want to grow closer with, who you need in a moment of despair or whatever, but you don't reach out. You don't reach out to see if they want to have dinner Saturday night because you think, why would they want to have dinner with me? I'm not going to bother them. I'm always bothering them. Okay, well, you're kind of sabotaging yourself because now you're home Saturday night lonely when maybe you could have been at dinner with the friend that you liked, right? We sabotage ourselves if we don't think people like us because we don't like ourselves in meeting new people, right? I talked about this in the self-esteem and self-worth video. If you're invited to a social event and you feel horrible about yourself, whether who you are as a person or the way you look or whatever, you're less likely to go. So here you are complaining that you have no friends, but then when the opportunity comes to possibly meet new people and form new friendships, you don't explore it. Because, again, if you don't like yourself, it's very hard to imagine that other people like you. Let's look at dating really quick. Self-sabotage can be being interested in somebody and not telling them. I don't like rejection either, guys. It's a leap of faith, right? Sometimes to go for it. But if you go for it, at least it's a tiny chance. If not, you might be 85 years old, looking back, cursing yourself out because the hot male or female that you had a crush on that was funny, that seemed like an awesome person, you never went for it. You never expressed it, right? Again, I don't like rejection either, guys. But that's a form of self-sabotage. The self-sabotage that is even worse, though, is this one. And I see it all the time with clients, friends, in the groups. I had a client who, she was a widow, and we were working together for a few months, and she was dating again. It had been 2 years or so since her loss. And she called me one day, and we're talking. About 10 minutes into the conversation, she goes, "This guy asked me out." I go, "Oh, what happened? Did you say yes?" She goes, "No, I said no." I assumed she didn't like him, right? So I go, "Why? Why'd you say no? What happened? You didn't like him?" She goes, "No, he's pretty awesome." I go, "Oh, you actually know him?" She goes, "Yeah, he's a friend of a friend." I go, "Oh." I said, "So what was the problem?" "He's too cute for me." I said, "So you know this guy, right?" She goes, "Yeah." "And you think he's attractive?" "Yeah." "And he's a friend of a friend?" "Yeah." "And by all indications are he's a good guy?" "Yeah." "And he asked you out?" She goes, "Yeah." I go, "So he put himself out there to ask you out?" "Yeah." "And you said no?" She goes, "Yeah, I said no." I go, "Because he's too cute for you?" She said, "Yeah." She felt so bad about herself that she couldn't even envision somebody of quality liking her, right? That also goes hand in hand with self-worth, okay? That is one of the main reasons why awesome women, and men too, but let's just focus on women for a second. Awesome women tend to end up with not so awesome men because their self-esteem is horrible, because their self-worth is horrible. Here's a way that we can self-sabotage based on self-worth. And I gave this example in week 2, but it's worth repeating. If I have a client who was married to a guy who maybe abused her for 10 years or cheated on her for 10 years, and then he passes, and then she starts dating again, year, 2, 3 years after, and she meets some amazing guy. And maybe, not to trigger anybody here, but maybe her dad abandoned her too. Or there was an additional boyfriend before her husband who mistreated her too. And now she has a lifetime worth of being mistreated by males. And she meets some amazing guy. And logically, she can tell me she thinks she deserves that, but deep down emotionally, she doesn't feel like she does. So she wants to self-sabotage because she doesn't have the self-worth to understand that she is worthy of being treated the right way, that she is worthy of being loved the right way. That's a way that we self-sabotage based on self-worth, okay? Let's talk for a few minutes about guilt. So guilt in any form can possibly breed self-hatred. And self-hatred can possibly breed low self-worth or low self-esteem. Let's think about that for a second. Let's say your spouse, not to trigger anybody, but I got to give examples here. Let's say your spouse passed of cancer, and you have it in your head that somehow, some way you could have saved them, okay? And so much guilt has festered up over time over that. Not logically, because a lot of times when I ask a client, do you think you deserve to be happy? They might say yes with their brain. They might say no, but they might say yes with their brain. But deep down emotionally, if you carry that much guilt, there's a chance that your self-worth has been affected. And if that has happened, there's a chance that emotionally you don't think you deserve to be happy. If you don't think you deserve to be happy, it's going to be really hard to pursue happiness, right? And if happiness somehow finds you, it's going to be really hard to accept that happiness, to embrace that happiness, because you don't think you deserve it, because of guilt, which has led to self-worth issues. So, you might do what I see a lot, which is you might try to self-sabotage that happiness, right? Let's talk about fear for a second. Not where I was going to go with this, but since I'm improvising here on this video, let me give you an example. I almost didn't put out my first book. I wrote it. I was going to submit it to the publisher. Well, I self-published, but I was going to submit it for uploading to be a published author. And I almost backed out. Why did I almost back out? Because my self-esteem has been a struggle for my whole life. And now I know some of you are watching this thinking, well, how can this guy coach self-esteem if he's saying he struggled with his self-esteem his whole life? That's exactly why I can coach it. Because I know the struggle. Because I know the impact that it has on our life. And because I know how we can work through it. It's always going to be an issue. If you struggle with self-esteem or self-worth in particular, you're probably going to struggle the rest of your life, but you can make improvements, right? Every single one of us, Mother Teresa was, every single one of us is a work in progress, okay? Always, and for the rest of our life. So I almost wasn't going to put out my first book. Self-esteem. Nobody wants to read my book, right? It's not that good. Fear. Fear of being judged. Fear of bad reviews. Fear of all this stuff. What if I hadn't put it out? Wouldn't have my coaching career. Wouldn't have my second book. Wouldn't have my speaking career. My career, if I'm looking at what's good in my life, is atop that list. I wouldn't have it because of the fear and the self-esteem. When I say I almost didn't put it out, I'm not playing. I literally almost scrapped it at the last second. I almost self-sabotaged my entire career, right? I have seen so many friends, so many family members self-sabotage their love life and run away from an amazing person and end up with a not so amazing person, to put it nicely. I've seen them self-sabotage their job or their career, not go for that promotion, not put that book out because they don't believe in themselves. I've seen them self-sabotage because of guilt, because maybe they weren't the perfect spouse. And maybe they didn't think now that they deserve happiness, and maybe they didn't even pursue happiness, but happiness came out of left field, and they didn't think they deserved it. Whether they thought they deserved it logically or not doesn't even matter. Deep down emotionally, they didn't think they deserved it. If you have so much guilt that every time you do anything, you feel guilty. Every time you eat your favorite food, you feel guilty. Every time you smile, you feel guilty. Every time you laugh, you feel guilty. How in the world are you ever going to accept bigger, more beautiful things, right? It's going to be very hard. So that's something that breeds self-sabotage in a very dangerous way. Let's go back to the fear for a second. Because this one, if you're a widowed person, I'm sure will resonate. So many of us, deep down inside, want to find love again, but we're scared. We're scared of a million things. For purposes of this video, let's focus on death. We're scared that we're going to fall in love again and they're going to die on us. because it's already happened once, right? I don't care if people want to date again or not. I don't care. I talked about that last week. I don't care. But if that's what you want, if deep down inside you want to find love again, but you don't pursue it, or maybe it comes out of left field when you're not even expecting it, but you can't embrace it because you're so scared that they're going to die on you too. Look, I get that. To my core, I get that. But that's a form of self-sabotage. Self-sabotage is when you do something to take away your own peace, to take away your own happiness, to take away your own progress, because in some way you don't feel worthy of it, or because in some way you're afraid that it's going to get taken from you in another way. You are doing to yourself what you're afraid of happening. You're not embracing that new person who came into your life. You know, a lot of my widow clients, you know I call you on this all the time, because you're so afraid they're going to die. But you don't want to be alone. You want to fall in love. Maybe they'll die. Or maybe y'all will live till you're 95 together. I don't know. You don't know. But you're not giving yourself the chance. Right? That's self-sabotage. Before I get to a couple other reasons why we self-sabotage, let me once again say, this video feels a little empty for me. As my favorite topic, I love working with clients one-on-one and digging into it and opening their eyes and helping them see the path forward. I'm hoping that you guys are getting something out of this, even though I don't feel like it's my best work. Let's talk about a few other reasons why people self-sabotage, okay? People self-sabotage because of stubbornness. So on a more minor level, right? You need help with something and somebody's willing to help you, but you're proud. You're too proud to take the help. Okay, that's fine. Who's it hurting? Probably not the other person that much. It's probably hurting you. Self-sabotage. Ego, insecurities. Those are other reasons people self-sabotage. People also self-sabotage because of judgment and not being empowered enough. Like I talked about with my book. I was afraid of being judged. I was afraid of people not liking it. I wasn't empowered enough. If you're not grieving your own way, you might think I'm stretching here, but that's a form of self-sabotage. You're so worried about what other people think that you're not allowing yourself to grieve the way you want and need to grieve. Who's that hurting? It's hurting yourself. If you're not living your own way, if you're not pursuing peace and happiness as you want to, because of what other people think, because of judgment, you're not empowered enough to do what you want to do, to pursue the life you want to pursue. That's a form of self-sabotage. When you're 85, 90 years old, and you look back at your life, are you going to say, man, I'm really happy that I didn't pursue that move I wanted to pursue? You know, California is my favorite place ever, and I really wanted to move there when I was 24, but my mom didn't want me to move there, and, you know, blah, 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 blah. So I didn't. So I gave up my dream. You going to be happy with that decision when you're 85 or 90? You're going to be happy with the decision of not pursuing the person you wanted to pursue, even though they were an amazing person, because your stuck-up friend didn't want you to pursue him because he only made $30,000 a year and not $300,000 a year? You're going to be happy with that? Self-sabotage is not pursuing the life you want to pursue. Self-sabotage is getting in your own damn way. And I have literally seen it destroy people's lives. Some of these examples I have, they won't destroy your life. They'll negatively impact your life, but they won't destroy it. But I've seen it destroy people's lives. You don't have to keep doing it. You can work on your self-esteem. so that you self-sabotage less. You can work on your guilt so that you self-sabotage less. You can work on your fear. And most importantly, you can work on your self-worth so that you feel worthy of being happy, of being loved the right way, so that you do not pick the wrong person. Because picking the wrong person after you have self-sabotaged, if you self-sabotage your way into the wrong person, it is one of the worst decisions you will ever make. If you need help with any of this, if you think you're self-sabotaging and you don't know how to get out of your own damn way, go to my website, go to the coaching page, sign up for a session. Let's see if you're self-sabotaging. Maybe you're not. Let's get to the root cause and let's try to fix it. There is no reason to continue to ruin your own life in 2019 when life is so damn hard to live. All right? I will see you guys next week for abuse and toxic relationships.